Hello, welcome back to another episode of Ask the Doctor with Dr. Jeffrey Sherman. Today, we're going to be talking about food, about the importance of food in your health and how you can better improve your diet during this pandemic situation. So let's welcome Dr. Jeffrey Sherman to the show. Hello, Dr. Sherman.
Hi there.
Nice
Nice
to
to be
have
with
you
you
on the
again.
show
Thank
as
you.
usual. Yes. The COVID statistics for the U.S. for today is as follows. There are 7.3 million cases of COVID-19 in the United States, and there's 207,000 deaths. We've reached past the 7 million mark of infections. If we can keep the pandemic below 10 million, I think. I mean, below any number will be good.
The deaths were what? 207, you said?
Well,
yeah.
Yes, 207,000. It seems that the death rate isn't increasing as fast as it used to, because I remember the 200,000 mark being significant, but that was weeks ago. So it seems that we're getting a better handle on treating those who do get infected. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is always if doctors get a good treatment schedule and regimen and drugs for the infection, then everything will be fine, because you just get infected, but then you're treated and it's not deadly. Or of course, you prevent the infection with the vaccines, etc. Speaking of staying away from that. Speaking of being prepared for the virus. Speaking of being prepared for the virus, there's your body. I mean, literally, there's always your body, but food, of course, sustains your body, and it's very easy to be missing some kind of nutrient that your body would need to function, its immune system to function anything.
Yeah, you want to keep your diet pretty balanced. You want to have a good diet going on.
Dr. Sherman, all about prevention. What is prevention? We actually have a nice question from the chat already. Is there any specific food that allows for one's immune system to be stronger and less susceptible to the virus?
In terms of specific food, not to my knowledge. I'm sure there are some. You want a good immune system, so you want to get some good vitamin C, and your fruits, your citrus fruit have the vitamin C. You want to do a little vitamin C. In terms of foods, you want to get the oranges and grapefruits going. You want to do some citrus fruits. That's kind of how to get the vitamin C. We talked about supplements and vitamins in earlier shows. There are some ways to get that vitamin C, but if you're talking about food, you want to get some good fruits in your diet. Not only the citrus fruits, but berries and other things that contain some antioxidants to set your body up to have the most prepared to withstand any potential viral infection that may challenge it. But the immune system will respond best with good levels of vitamin C, with the oranges and grapefruits, limes, lemons, things like that. Now, you don't eat lemons and limes directly. You can eat the oranges and grapefruits, though, and those are good for you.
Do most vitamins in our diet come from fruits and vegetables? I guess what I'm getting at is, like, do fruits and vegetables have the largest range of the vitamins and minerals and antioxidants that our body needs?
I guess you could say that, but that doesn't mean that's all you should eat. They have the most range with the C's and the A, B's, and C's, but other things are in proteins, in chicken and in meat, iron, and folic acid, and and vitamin K, and all these other things are in other vitamin K is in a lot of leafy vegetables too. But protein rich foods contain some vitamins and minerals as well. But yeah, the fruits and vegetables are the main source of your day to day vitamin needs, and you wouldn't need vitamins if you ate enough vegetables every day. And
Yeah.
that's what would protect you from COVID the most, is a good balanced diet with a lot of fruits and vegetables in there.
I know that not all vitamins have to be eaten. Obviously, our body constructs vitamin D from the sunlight,
Yeah.
and also I've heard of vitamin E coming through the skin with some kind of ointment.
Yeah, vitamin E supplements it could be a balm, a rub on the shoulder. Vitamin B12, uh, in addition to the under the tongue spray, it's a intermuscular injection in the shoulder. Also, the vitamin D through the sun. So there's other ways to absorb it, basically through the skin and through the muscles. Um, are the ways to do it. But most of your vitamins are, you consume them where they're absorbed in the GI tract. It's different for most. I mean, they can be absorbed in the stomach, or parts of the small intestine, and so in the foods you eat are all the vitamins, and then there are enzymes and additives and other things that are in your body that help those vitamins get absorbed. For example, B12, if you were to eat that, uh, you know you need something called intrinsic factor to absorb that. Your vitamin D and calcium are linked, so those two need to be together. And then there's some other enzymes that help absorb each vitamin inside. So getting them is great.
Wow.
Absorbing them is where it has to be done.
It really shows how um, nutrition is more complicated than actually just consuming a
Right.
given vitamin or mineral. You have to actually also make sure that you're up to date on potentially other vitamins and minerals in order for your body to
Yeah.
uptake it.
And you got to you get your vitamin levels checked, and you eat your good diet, so you get enough vitamins. Then you get your vitamin levels checked, and hopefully they'll be fine. But if they're a little bit low, take a little bit extra of whatever you need, recheck the levels in a blood test, and hopefully it will respond. But if it doesn't, there may be something going on absorptively because you're consuming enough of the foods that provide the vitamin. It's the absorption of that vitamin that may be the deficiency.
Right. We have another question from the chat about um, is there a specific food that one should abstain from that actually increases the chance of one being more susceptible to COVID?
No, in terms of food, there's not that types of foods out there that will increase your chances of getting COVID. It's not that kind of virus. Um, the high sugary foods can lead to diabetes, and we know those patients have not done as well once infected with COVID. But there's not a food that's going to increase your risk of getting it. There are certain foods that will increase your risk of not having a easy time with it, such as those sugary type foods that make you a little bit pudgy and will give your body a little bit of a rougher time to recover from it. Not every obese person is going to have a rough time with COVID, but they do have the more rough go about it generally compared to the slimmer patients. Um, but we've talked about other vitamins that have helped. ICU patients or
That's right.
hospital patients have done better with good levels of vitamin D. So we bone up on vitamin D, and try to do better once the virus is contracted. But one food or another, either consuming or avoiding, will not affect the infection.
Exactly right. And now we do know that although there's not really specific foods that make you more prone to the virus, besides making you unhealthy in general, that there are some medications that can increase your susceptibility to COVID-19. And there's also some supplements that can protect you. Like there's zinc, I believe.
Right. Yeah, we've talked about zinc. Zinc levels will be protective. Vitamin D in a way is protective. Uh, ibuprofen is not helpful or harmful. Um,
Okay,
talk about those elements and things, but you can get good zinc in fruits and vegetables too. You don't have to take the supplements, but
right.
taking the supplements certainly wouldn't hurt. And just staying at a healthy diet. It's prevented. It's prevention. It's prevention, not
Exactly.
what do you do when you get it? It's how to prevent from getting it by being in a good shape in the first place.
Exactly. With all the importance of your consumption of food contributing to your health, sometimes it makes me wonder how responsible the food industries are actually for the health of people that they serve. Because we know that there's certain foods are cheaper or more marketed than others, and maybe that's contributed to overall imperfect health in America,
Right.
and probably other places too. It's a very
Yeah, I
very
mean, the
interesting
American
debate.
diet is full of preservatives and you know uh, antibiotics and pesticides and things to keep things fresh and to grow bigger and to withstand all the transport that it takes to get from the farm to the supermarket. And those are the things that are maybe hurting the immune system, the preservatives and some of the growth hormones and things like that are at the crop, or if it's a farm, in some of the animals that are being used to provide meat. So you just got to be wary of that. I'm not sure that that's contributing to high levels of COVID, but it's certainly contributing to an overall unwell person, which then suffers a little bit of a COVID challenge.
Exactly. We have another question from the chat about, do steroid inhalers for asthma like Advair help with lung resistance or hurt with lung resistance?
In terms of the COVID, their steroid inhalers are good. Yeah, they will. I think steroids for COVID are positive, systemic and
Okay.
locally inhaled steroids. Those steroids can get to the um, those steroids stay in the main part of the lung for the most part, but it can get deeper down to the thinner part of the lung, which is where the virus is going to do its damage. Like I said, a bulk of the steroids are higher up in the lung, but some does get to the bottom, so it's helpful. But the systemic steroids, the Medrol packs or the steroid pills, that's steroid's going to do more of the heavy lifting when it comes to getting rid of the virus. That and a Z-Pack antibiotic, I think, are very helpful. So you can go on steroid inhalers, steroid pills, Z-Pack pills, and try to keep that virus at bay and treat it as like an pneumonia or an infection like that, like a bacterial infection, and then wipe it out or prevent it from advancing too far. Those are the steroids roles in this whole thing.
Nice. And it sounds like we've learned the importance. We've learned about these steroids over time, because I imagine that at the beginning of this pandemic, we weren't as sure about the effectiveness of steroids, and basically we've learned a lot.
Right. We were thinking at first it might be uh, contraindicated or not, the best way to go because it was, um, suppressing your immune system and the immune system's attempt to fight off the COVID. But it handles more of the inflammation that the COVID causes, and it cools off the inflammation, which is the better way to go. And then your immune system will kick in eventually. But if there's not that much inflammation there, the patient's clinical status is still, uh, favorable and won't need intubation and won't need hospitalization and so on. So preventing the inflammation is the best first step. Steroids and antibiotics are a good way to do that.
Wow. So that's a very nice that we've learned all of this so far. Now, I
Yeah, they're
happen
giving
to have
ICU patients steroids in the IV.
steroids through IV.
Yeah, they do that in the ICU and to some degree on the hospital wards, but certainly in the ICU, they're getting decent doses of what they call solumedrol or steroid doses.
Oh wow! And this is probably contributing to the death count not increasing nearly as fast
Yeah,
as it could be. I happen to have some various fruits on my table. Just because why not? Might be kind of fun.
yeah. The visual aid situation.
I have an avocado. Now I know that avocados are very different from other produce, right? They tend to have a lot of protein.
There's a lot of fat in the avocado, but the good fat, the trans fat,
The
and that's good
unsaturated
fat
fat.
for you. It's good. It's good fat. There's calories in there, but it's worth it because you're getting good fat from that, and it's preserving certain things. So avocado is a good source of calories, a good source of nutrition for every day, let alone these days.
Exactly. I believe the fat in here is unsaturated, or is it trans?
Yeah.
Unsaturated. Okay. There we go. So avocados are kind of unique because they're very oily. They're more like a. Are they more like a nut?
Yeah, in a way, yeah, a little bit even more so than a nut. But yeah, they got some unsaturated fat properties, but it's in greater quantities. I mean, the nut you can keep eating and eating, but the avocado's got it all kind of packed right there for you.
All right. I have, of course, the banana. I have a banana.
Right.
Probably most people identify it as being a source of potassium. Is that? Are there other fruits with significant amounts of potassium?
Not as much as a banana. Banana's the leader, and it also got a lot of sugar in there, so be careful about that. But potassium is key. I mean, I should be careful. As the banana gets riper and browner, the sugar content rises up. In green bananas, not so much. Or yellow bananas, not as much. So the sugar content's not so bad there. It ferments and it forms the sugar inside once it ripens a little bit. The potassium, though, it's a good source of potassium. Bananas can be a little constipating, so just be aware of that. But patients who are on, diuretics, water pills, they lose a lot of potassium when they pee so much. So they eat a banana every day to offset that, and that's a good way to do it. But potassium's key, and that gets absorbed in the bloodstream and then processed through the kidney. And if you have too much potassium, you'll pee it out. If you don't have enough, you'll hold on to what you got, and your body will tell you to take more.
Exactly. So, if someone is concerned about sugar intake, but they still want to have a healthy banana, should they actually consider eating the banana when it's less ripe?
Yeah, you want to do that. If you're going to do a banana, do it in the greenish to yellow stage. That's fine. No sugar, but you still get the benefits of the potassium. And that's kind of the best way to take that. You can put it in a smoothie. You can eat it straight out of the, right there. I mean, it's a good source of other nutrients as well, but potassium is the key. But if sugar's an issue, eat it on the unripened side of things.
All right, and that's pretty cool. How you can just get the same nutrients just by eating it when it's less sweet. I guess I'll hold these up at the same time. I have a lemon and a small orange. Maybe it's a tangerine.
Yeah.
Is there? So I remember how you mentioned oranges and grapefruits. So is there really a significant difference in nutritional quality of the different citrus fruits?
No, it's a matter of taste, and sweetness, and just how sour things are. It just depends on what the person's likes and tastes are. But the vitamins are very similar in all those. So if you prefer an orange or a tangerine like that, that's great. But remember, I mean, its size is part of it too. The grapefruit's a bigger fruit.
That's true.
You're gonna get more
This is
out of that. This guy's a little small. You may need to take 2 or 3 of those to get one grapefruit. The equivalent of a vitamin C in the grapefruit. It's funny. I mean, tastes change. I used to not like grapefruit at all. I couldn't stand it. Now I like them. So, and that different parts along the ripe scale will dictate how sour things are. If it's pretty sour, I mean, forget it. My point is, you'll get the vitamins on what you like to eat. If it's too sour, you're not going to eat it. Then there's no point in even trying. You're not going to get the nutritional value out of it. So eat something that you like, so you can get what you want out of it. At the
nice.
as grapefruits are concerned.
And with this talk of grapefruit, it reminds me that, is it true that you need to be careful with grapefruit when you're taking certain medications?
Yeah, they do interact with certain blood thinners, so you want to just check with your prescribing doctor. But I know blood thinners, grapefruits, vitamin C in general, but grapefruits in particular can alter the thinness of blood. So you may need to avoid grapefruit or vitamin C when you're taking Coumadin or some of the blood thinners that we see our cardiac patients on. And if your blood thinner is out of whack, if your blood is not the right, if it's too thin or not thin enough, we can't have that. We need your blood to be right, kind of in a nice narrow range. If the grapefruit or vitamin C makes that not right, then you got to avoid them altogether.
All right, that's very nice to know. So now I have a note. If I meet anybody who's taking blood thinners, I can now tell them to be a little bit careful about vitamin C intake, not to avoid it.
Blood thinners, the spinach, and what do you call them?
It looks like Dr. Sherman is having some internet connectivity issues. So feel free to stick around in case he comes back soon. But if he's not going to be back within 5-6 minutes, then we will close the show normally. Until then, I am going to just do some regular advice that that I'm very confident that it's correct, because it's what doctors have always been saying. So some general advice during this pandemic: of course, you should be wearing your masks. In case you don't quite understand how masks work, or you know somebody who doesn't quite understand how masks work, even though viruses are extremely tiny, tinier than the holes in a mask, the thing is about the coronavirus is that the viruses travel on water droplets, and those water droplets are large enough to be blocked by a mask. And of course, if you block the water droplets by the mask, then you're blocking the virus from significantly leaving and infecting others. That's of course why your face might get sweaty or wet, because you're keeping that condensation on yourself instead to other people. Another thing is hand washing. Of course, it's generally a good thing to do, but just making sure that you're doing it a lot, well, not really a lot, but consistently before you deal with activities that are going to expose you, such as eating, especially handheld eating. You want to wash your hands before and afterwards to prevent any potential transmission. Looks like Dr. Sherman has connected back. Hello.
Hi, sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
We're back. That's okay. We're back on schedule. I entertained for a little while. Talked about masks and hand washing. The gist of it. What were we on? We were talking about the citrus fruits and grapefruit.
Yeah, I was talking about spinach and Brussels sprouts as a part of the interfering with blood thinners also. So yeah, I was going to add the little joke that it won't matter if I'm on a blood thinner because I don't like those two vegetables. I'll never eat them ever anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Luckily, of course, there's lots of fruits and veggies on the market. So if you don't like one fruit, you can likely substitute it for something else and save nutrition. Another thing I have with me here is tomatoes. They're small tomatoes. These things.
Yeah.
And a tomato is a fruit. So because tomatoes are fruit, does that make it similar to like an orange?
Well, I mean, in sort of biology it is, but I don't think in nutritional value it's a little different. Tomatoes got more lecithin and some antioxidant properties, help prevent prostate cancer and maybe a little other subtle cancers, but it's helpful there. It's got some antioxidants, so it'll be good for the heart and fewer cancer. Try to get rid of some of those activated ions that contribute to cancer. So it protects maybe a little bit against breast cancer and certainly against prostate cancer.
That's really, really fascinating. And yeah, and I know that tomatoes, of course, are used in a lot of things. Tomatoes are often mashed for purposes like ketchup and spaghetti, sauce.
It's all part of it.
How much of it's all?
Yeah, it's all tomatoes. So, now, there's a lot of sugar involved in some of those, so you want to watch that. But the tomato part is still very healthy in there.
Nice. So you don't necessarily have to eat a fresh tomato.
Oh, correct. You can cook them, put them in a salad, put them on in soups, put them in a chili, put them in a stew, put them on pizza. It all works pretty well that way. You can, like I said, you make the tomato sauce and the tomato soup. Those are all very, very good. Just watch the sugar content. Ketchup especially can get pretty sweet. Same with spaghetti sauces too. You don't realize it, but it's in there.
Yeah, in fact, next time you're at a grocery store, it might be kind of interesting to look at some products ingredients list on the back
Yeah.
of the packaging, and
Yeah.
below the nutrition fact table, look at the ingredients. Sugar is in a lot of things, many more than you might expect. For instance, like one time I was at a grocery store and decided to look at chicken broth, and yeah, there was sugar in chicken broth.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect it there, because even things that you don't eat might still have some sugar in there, just because sugar is such an useful cooking thing. But that's about.
Right. And
So
and it's usually the second or third ingredient listed, which means it's abundant. Whether it
exactly.
be the sugar itself or molasses or melted sugar or whatever. It's in a lot of hidden things. Salad dressing too.
All right. There is one thing that I'm very interested in about the different types of sugar that you see on nutrition labels, on ingredients lists, is so are things like cane sugar, molasses, high fructose corn syrup, sugar, brown sugar, how different are they really in terms of like how your body handles it?
Um, it all needs insulin to be metabolized, but the high fructose corn syrup is, I think, probably the worst one, or the fructose, high fructose, this or that. That's that's a tough one to break down. Those are the tougher ones to break down. The table sugar and the cane sugar, that's a little bit easier. That stuff you put in desserts, that stuff's in sodas. Well, I guess some of the sodas are now sugar and some have been high fructose corn syrup. That's why they're advertising sugar. It's a little bit easier. It's a little bit, quote, better for you, even though it's not great for you anyway. But the high fructose corn syrup is the toughest to break down, can lead to the more insulin resistant situation, requiring more and more insulin each time to break it down, and adding more more calories and like that. But all sugars need to go through the same pathway. It's just that the high fructose corn syrup is a little bit more of a chore for your body to metabolize,
Yeah.
and just generally avoiding all those, or not avoiding, but keep them down to a bare bones minimum, or just a little bit's the best way to go.
And another thing with sugar is that starch is a bunch of sugar linked together, correct? Is starch like basically sugar when your body deals with it?
Yeah, it starch gets turned to sugar in your body and then metabolized from there. It just gets broken down. Starch, complex carbohydrates, those kinds of things. The white things, the potatoes, the pastas, those get broken down. The sugar molecules then needs metabolism from insulin. Then, so it's a few extra steps, but it gets there. It's not your body's using up energy to break them down, so it's not the pure sugar, but it still gets down there, and then you
Okay.
process it as you would other sugar.
Right. Was there anything else? Oh, sorry. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up before we close off the show?
No, it's just common sense. The message I wanted to just convey is common sense in terms of healthy eating. I'm not saying don't ever have dessert, but get your protein, get a little bit of fat. The avocado is a good source of fat. Get your little bit of carbs, do a little moving around, and your body will appreciate that. And hopefully that if you ever are at risk for COVID, it would be a minimal consequence.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to end off our show today. If you are in the LA area and you happen to want to see Dr. Sherman, we have put his office email in the chat, towergastro@gmail.com. If you want to schedule an appointment, a gastroenterologist. Did I get the term right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. If you like what we do here, we do this every Thursday at 3 p.m. And until next time, stay safe.